Moore High School, there was 3 different groups of people. You had your jocks and your, we call them goat ropers, and then the hoods. Toby came from the goat roper side, I think. He had the hat and the belt buckle, and he was a cowboy, lived out in the country.
The neighbors had a rodeo company, and you can see the light poles over there. They'd buck bulls and have jackpot rodeos. You can see that there's a tree growing up where the horses back into the pen. There's a big evergreen tree in there, so it hadn't been used in a long, long time. But I could come right here, home from school, jump the fence and go to work right there. When these people moved in up here for this rodeo company, there was lots of horses, lots of bulls. He would bring bulls home from the stockyards that looked big and masculine and macho. Straight out of the stockyards, you didn't know whether they would buck or not, and he would flank them up, and we would get on them and ride them. He'd find out through 6 or 7 boys whether his stock could buck, and I'll tell you what, anything I ever rode, they took right back to stockyards because it wasn't a rodeo bull. There was a bull over here, he was number 61. By the time he was done, the cowboys out on the circuit were calling him Notorious 61. He wasn't a very big bull, and I jumped down on him. He spun and got me off on his hip and slammed me into the ground. I thought it broke every bone in my body. All it did was dislocate my thumb, but it felt like the Jolly Green Giant had grabbed me by my feet and just slapped me on the ground. I mean, it hurt so bad I didn't even want to ride the rest of the night. It was unbelievable, the force. He was a bad boy. He never acted like he was any wiser for it, but I was. My dad would go with his buddies from Lindsay to the horse races, and they owned horses. And so one time I bought him a half interest in their best horse, their new 2-year-old, and the sucker runs off by about 7 lengths and wins real easy. So they had me hooked, and now I have a multi-million-dollar operation.
He has 150 thoroughbred horses.
Our most famous horse is Cactus Ridge. It was an undefeated 2-year-old. He's a knockout.
Broke a lot of records and was on its way to the Breeders' Cup and wound up with a cracked knee, and turned out it didn't get to go.
He's a stud now. He's got the good life.
Toby really cares about what goes on in the state of Oklahoma. He's been involved with several political races and was very involved in a horse racing initiative that essentially saved horse racing in the state of Oklahoma.
We didn't have legalized gambling here. It would defer a lot of the horse trading and the horse racing here to other states.
I fought alongside the governor of the state of Oklahoma to help the horse people and get through some of these hard heads around here that the horse people were worth saving.
He's not only benefited himself in the horse racing business here in Oklahoma, but he's benefited Oklahoma.
It's a blast. It's my hobby, and I'll do it forever.
The house on the acreage that we live at now was the center of where Toby got back into his music. In the den, out at the barn.
My mom don't ever throw anything away, so I think it is. This is my 7th grade cornet. Yeah, that was from band. I wouldn't even know how to play a note on it today. And I built this in shop class in 8th grade, and this is a great piece of furniture. It's a little hutch. I can't believe it's still here. I haven't seen this thing in years.
This is where he did a lot of his practice, a lot of his auditions for his band members early on.
There's a lot of stuff put in here now. It's more or less just a storage barn. This concrete floor always provided a nice place to set up, so there's been a lot of drum sets set up on here, but we would practice in here. This is the barn. It's kind of just a gardening, mowing, and tool shed, a few storage items now, but which it always was. It just wasn't this cluttered because my dad worked on these cars and tractors and stuff in here, but always had tools and stuff. But we've sat up in here 1,000 times and practiced.
The summer we graduated in '79, I was cruising 12th Street with another friend of mine, and we came up on Toby in a truck. We said, "Hey, man, where you going?" And he said, "Well, I'm going over to a friend's house in these apartments. We're going to go write some songs." And I was like, I perked up because I had a little garage band I played in.
And Yogi said, that's the only thing our band doesn't have. We have players, we have drummers, we have bass players, we have keyboard players, we have guitar players. We don't have a singer or a songwriter. You ought to come jam with us. We jam every Tuesday. So I went over, and here walks in Country Boy to a little Southern rock band.
And he goes, "Hey, y'all ever played country?" And he's like, "Well, no."
They were completely rockers, and they hated, the twangy stuff. It was to the point of even, making fun of it, and I was raised on it. And as soon as I came in, it made it cool. So we started doing like the Eagles in Alabama, Bob Seger intertwined with Haggard and Roger Miller and that type of stuff.
And then all of a sudden it kind of sounded good, and we were thinking, hey, this is all right.
They seen that if we were sitting around with acoustic guitar and we were singing all these songs, that it was really all just American music. And they changed their tone, and then we went for it.
About the time we thought, all right, we get enough songs together, we can go play a show, Toby left town in the oil field. And we were like, what do we do now? We don't have a lead singer.
In those years, the oil field was booming and Oklahoma was really hot. If you were in the oil field in any way, you had money.
This is 1980, and I'm making 45, 50, 60,000 a year, 18 years old. I mean, I paid cash for my first new truck.
You needed to bring the wage up because you needed the bodies. We didn't have the bodies in the state to supply. There were people coming from all over the United States to drill here. They could not build hotel rooms fast enough in western Oklahoma to house people. They were living on the sides of highways in tents. Also, they were paying a lot of money because it was very dangerous work.
I seen digits gone. I saw people get their fingers mashed and pull their glove off, and the skin around the finger was still on the glove, but the bone was there. But if you're out there long enough, you're going to see that.
Toby's grandfather worked as a roughneck and had been seriously injured. They didn't expect him to live. And then HK comes along, and he works in the oil field.
My dad broke his leg and was laid up in a cast all the way up to here when I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
When Toby became 17 and a half, and the money looked good in the oil field, and he starts talking about going to work in it. As a mother, I thought, I can't let my kid go, but I knew I had to let my kid go. You just have to believe in God, that God will handle it. And I just had to let him go out there, but it was hard. I
was fortunate not to ever get beat up too bad, you get dinged and still got scars and stuff to show, but it's a dangerous, dangerous world.
The year was probably 1981, 1982, and during the day, Toby would work as a oil caser, and then on the weekends he played music.
We had come out of the garage and had moved into playing local taverns.
Toby was on 24-hour call, and so there'd be times that we would be right in the middle of a set, and he would get a page, and I'd go, hey guys, I'm sorry, but y'all have to take it from here. I've got to be out. And he'd be out 3 and 4 days. Sometimes he'd miss the whole Saturday night.
When you're in the oil field and you're on 24-hour call, you go and stay till the job's done, you come back. And if it's a 50-hour job, you're there 50 hours. The most I've ever went without sleep was 77 hours. I was completely delusional. But it's no big deal. You learn to live in that environment. You go, you finish the job, then you rig your tools down, and you come home.
We learned at a young age, if you want something, you have to work for it. Toby's parents were that way, and I think that's probably where he got that drive.
His values are intact, and you can say they're of the area or of his family. They're one and the same. His family's of the area. Same values he had the day I started with him. Haven't changed so far, don't expect him to change. He's gonna offer you a fair day's work for a fair day's wage, and that's all you ask for around here.
The economy was just wrecked.